Hi guys, am I audible? Hi. Okay, so I'm live now. I hope all set so I can start. So, my first Facebook live session. uh, Hi everyone. I'm Shubhra. I'm co founder and CEO of Garage Plug. And Garage Plug is a SaaS platform for auto repair businesses. So, you all might have some cars or bikes, and you might be visiting the dealerships or workshops. And for you, it is just leaving your car and getting the work done. But what happens inside the workshop, it's a lot what happens inside in terms of processes and in terms of business management. So Garage Plug is a business platform for end-to-end operation management as well as business growth for any kind of workshop. It could be multi-brand two-wheeler workshop. It could be four-wheeler workshop, and we actually started with Garage Plug in 2017. Back in 2017, early January February time frame, where this whole idea or concept of building a platform for these auto repair businesses came. Before maybe talking about Garage Plug, maybe I'll more talk about the team, how this whole idea came in. So I am one of the co-founder, and I have two more co-founders, part of Garage Plug. Uh, Mr. Ashish, he is actually coming from automotive background. He has worked, long time in Toyota in after sales department, and he knows what happens inside the workshop, and he has been working with workshops for a long time, dealerships, automotive dealerships. So he has a pretty good idea about what goes on there and what kind of pain points these people face. And another co-founder is Mr. Rohit. So he is coming from a tech product and marketing background. So he's heading our the tech stack and the marketing. So we three co-founders are there, and we have another guy on board with name Mr. Kuruda-san. He's a Japanese guy, and he's our mentor investor. And this whole Garage Plug story started with the concept of effectuation, where whatever is there in your hand, and you build something out of what resources you have. So Mr. Kuruda, he is our mentor, advisor, and initially when we started in 2017, Ashish had a lot of background in terms of domain. Rohit had very good knack on the product technology and all, and Mr. Kuruda-san, he had money. So all three combining together, we started building the product. And 2017, towards the mid or maybe August September timeframe, we launched our first MVP, which was a mobile first platform, and very very tiny app, which can be even used by any auto technician, mechanic, anybody as such. So this was the product which was launched in 2017, and I was not actually part of Garage Plug that point in time. I was working on some different products and different, I was actually in job working with some of the companies. And this product was launched in 2017 towards the end, and it was solving problem of the technicians. The technicians turned into entrepreneurs to manage their business, to handle their customers in a more in a better way. So it was a very tiny product, and we didn't know where it will go and what kind of pricing to be kept. And we just launched this product, and to our surprise, initial 4 5 or maybe 1 or 2 months itself, we got hundreds of sign-ups. and out of that 10 to 15 customers, we got paid customers also. So that is where we realized this kind of a platform is the need. People need this kind of a platform. And so once we understood, yeah, this is a need and a lot of traction we are getting in Indian market, we started building product to the next level. And these initial 10, 15 customers only, helped us to build the product to the next level. And then 2018, we, started, we actually went more live, I would say, started with marketing and approaching more garages, talking to more workshops. And in 2018 only, I also, came full time in Garage Plug. And our initial market was more India market, but with the India market we were not able to scale with the kind of ticket size we had. And then we actually started building a product fit for, we started doing product fit for global markets also. But still, I would say till 2018, the whole year we were, juggling around and, trying to figure out, okay, how to scale, whom to sell, what price to sell, what kind of product map, roadmap we should have. So we were kind of going with the flow and, trying to learn different things, trying to do different things. And to be honest, it was going good in terms of acquiring the customers. We could acquire hundreds of customers in Indian market. But in terms of scaling the business and increasing the MRR and seeing the next level of growth, we were kind of clueless where we are going. And that is where we actually we also and got enrolled in Upekha program, and that gave us very, very clear direction in terms of I would say which what kind of geography to target, or what kind of pricing to keep, and what kind of process to follow in terms of selling. It should not be just selling the product or feature. It should be value SaaS, real value you have to sell. So a lot of concepts came in, and today where we are a global company, global product, presence in 12 plus countries, and we have gone through huge learning phase, because I mean, making product fit in a specific market means a lot. And here maybe I'll talk about a story where we were trying to make the product fit for Middle East market. So of course, one or two customers we got, but that's not going to help us, or that's not enough, to say we are fit for this kind of a market. So me and Rohit, we actually went to Dubai initially, I think last year, somewhere in Jan or Feb time frame. And that time we were having just one or two customers from Middle East, and we were very sure this is a good market, and we should target this market. And we just went there, and every day we will wake up, will all the garages in Dubai market, they are in one area which is called as Al Quoz. We'll just go to that area, and we were like, we have to understand what these people need, what kind of people are there, and how what is their life, what kind of life they live, and what is their day to day, how the operations happen in this kind of a market. So what we were used to do, we'll wake up, we'll go to the market, and every day we will meet at least 20 to 30, sometimes 40 also garages. So we'll just walk in, we'll talk to those people. Some people, even we had experience where they will say, okay, you don't have appointment, why the hell, what you are going, I mean, why you are coming here? So we were even thrown out of the place many times. But the kind of spirit or the kind of thought process we had, it was so much of positivity was there that if we are meeting 20 people, at least 5 people were they were entertaining us, and after seeing the product for 5 minutes, they were amazed, they were blown away, and they were like, yeah, this is what I am searching, this is what I am searching. So that gave us, every day that was giving us a big boost. And we were in that market almost maybe 1.5 week, and every day walking 20 kilometer, sometimes 15, sometimes 20 kilometer walking. And it was very, very different experience, where you are literally going as a salesperson. But the kind of experience that that kind of a visit gave us, we could really get insight. We got the real insight of, what these people need, what kind of people they are, how to talk to these people. So that is a big learning. If you have to penetrate in any market, you need to understand, who are the customers, how they look like, what kind of language they talk, what kind of problems they have. And that kind of a learning gave us a very clear path. Okay, what is next we need to do? And now we are at a stage where we have very, I would say, over 80% business is coming from same market. And we could acquire very good customers from there. And now our customers only are our ambassadors, they are recommending others. So but initial phase of, initial that phase where sometimes you'll feel like, okay, what the hell you're doing, you're just walking and talking to people, and sweating a lot in maybe 30-degree 40-degree temperature, you are just walking on the roads. But that gave us the real fruit in the end, where we could crack it, we could really do the product fit. And these customers only helped us to build the additional modules. Some of them paid us money, to build the module. Some of the customers even ready to invest in the company. So once you go through that phase, then you realize the power of what you have done in while doing the market research, understanding the problems. So another big learning here is, if you have gone through all this and learned the real the real problems, then the kind of solution you are giving, you really get the conviction, and then it directly reflects into your sales process. So when you are selling, you are actually removing the pains. So then this pricing and all that, nothing matters actually. So if you are helping somebody or giving him a lot of value, then people are ready to pay. So this was another thing, which we were not very confident what should be the ticket size, how much we should charge, all that. Of course, Upekha has helped us a lot, in terms of, coming up with a better price model and value-based pricing, all that. So yeah, these were the interesting times. And now we are at a stage where, we want to, last year we have grown 3x. And now this year, of course, because of COVID, we are again pushed back a little bit. But still, the journey is continued, and we are very positive about, that we will go to the next level soon. So yeah, that is a small, introduction and quick, brief about, the journey altogether. And I'm not sure if you have any questions. Maybe we can go more Q&A kind of way. Can I see if people are there? So I hope I am seeing the right screen where I should be able to get some questions, but not sure. If you guys have anything, maybe ask me, maybe I will talk about that, because there are there are a lot of things to talk about. But if okay, so there is a question, what is something that you changed on the pricing that helped? Okay, so pricing is a big question, what price you should keep for your product. So one our initial thinking was, okay, let's study the price, what is famous in the market, okay, what others are charging. That was the initial thought process. But later, the big change what we have done in terms of pricing is, we had broken down the complete product into various modules. Okay, and then really, in depth we analyzed. Of course, we talked to our customers also, where people are getting maximum value, what are those modules or those features where people are getting maximum value. And based on that, each module or each feature set, we had kind of done the pricing. And of course, our product is also plug and play, where you can activate, deactivate various things. So we broken down the whole product into, different values what customer is going to get, and accordingly we did the pricing. So that is a big change, where now the pricing is very, for each customer it is going to be custom pricing based on what kind of value he will get, how much time he is going to save, how much money he is going to save, or how much what is the ROI on a particular, if he is going to use this, what is the ROI for him. So we got into that kind of pricing, and that is pretty much working now. We don't have any fixed packages. We do have some standard packages, but that never works. Each customer to customer, we do custom pricing based on the kind of value they get. So that is a big change which we did, and of course the ticket size also is now purely based on the value. How did you figure out a channel to get the customers? Okay, so about channels, okay, initially we were doing more of Google ads and things like that, and of course the reference, word of mouth, all that. But later, when we started targeting Middle East market, even the Indian market also, we actually kind of did some research and study where these people spend most of their time. And to our surprise, most of the garages or workshops or luxury detailing centers or any kind of like our own ideal customers, they spend a lot of time on Facebook or Instagram. So once we figured out, okay, these people are going to, they spend so much of time in Instagram and they get their customers from that channel, that means we can also get them through this channel. So right now our main channel, to get customers is Instagram. So that is our marketing channel. And of course, along with that, now after you have some level of presence, let's say 50-60 customers, the next level is references. So now we have started getting a lot of references, and where people are referring to each other, because this is a connected community, people know each other pretty much. So these are the two major channels where we get the customers. What is the difference between selling in global and India? Okay, so there is huge difference. Indian market is very cost sensitive, and the kind of support we have to give to Indian customers is also pretty high. Global market support is little less. Of course, ticket size is more, so we have more motivation there. But selling is very different. It's not only about India or global. It is more about the local culture. It is more about the culture, what kind of culture people have. So Indian people or Middle East people, almost similar. They are more relationship oriented. And selling is more of a art. It's not just about you're selling the product. So 80% of selling goes by logic. Person has a problem, you have the solution, all that. But the last 20% of selling is always through emotion, and that is where the relationship comes into picture. So not too much of the difference in selling, but of course sales cycle differs. So sales cycle is like it's much more sometimes in India for smaller ticket. For bigger tickets it is a little bit smaller. So that is what I have felt so far. Okay, how did you figure out? Okay, this is covered. Maybe you have mentioned already, but how is GaragePlug handling COVID? What is going to happen in the next many months? Okay, so COVID is a game changer for us for the simple reason, we were struggling a lot to bring people on demos, and now because of COVID, nobody is inviting us physically. So everybody is okay to have online demo, Zoom demos, and now that is the main positive thing happened, where now we are doing group demos. Before we were every day, one or two demos happened. That means a big achievement. But now we are doing 2 or 3 slots every day, and each slot 6 to 7 people are coming. So our pipeline is getting built to a very good extent, however, of course, I mean, COVID has impacted all the businesses, and automotive is impacted definitely big time, because people are sitting at home, they're not traveling, so repair work is also less. So that way, closings are still slower. But on the other side, keeping COVID in mind, what we have done is we actually brought a new platform into picture, which is called as touchless auto service, because now people don't want to do any cash transaction. They Customers, they don't want to go to the service centers. They want somebody to pick up the vehicle, deliver. Everything should be cashless, like Uber Drive. So all those things, what we did, we built this whole ecosystem, and now we have started getting a lot of traction there, where people are liking this platform. Some of them have already taken this, subscribed for this platform. So that way, it has helped us. And of course, when the COVID thing started, we had to, stop subscription for many customers, to help them, because their garages are off. So there is no point charging them. But we kept their accounts live. And now, once the market is recovering, they are back to the. So almost our 90% subscriptions are on. So that way, we did not face any problem. Have you raised funding, and what are your thoughts on fundraising? Okay, we are kind of bootstrapped, so we have not raised any funds so far. So on funding side, our thought process is, right now we are not looking at taking big fund, and that is not the thought process right now. We are more looking at strategic funds, so where we are exploring our own customers or our own network, where people are who are connected to automotive market, or they have huge experience in automotive after sales specifically. So we have a list of people, we are in talks with them, and 2-3 of our customers, they themselves are very much interested in investing in Garage Plug, because of the power of the product, because of the demand. So we are now looking at more of the strategic funds, where it's not going to be huge, but it's something which is required for us to scale to next level for next 1 year. So we are just looking at that right now. How easy, difficult was it to manage work from home? Any tips that helped you all stay productive? Okay. So I think working from home is a big challenge. For the simple reason, let's talk practical. Let's not get into too much. We have 3 BHK house, and right now I have two of my kids, and one my daughter's friend also staying. All 3 kids, they have taken all 3 rooms. Me, my husband are thrown out of rooms. We sit in the in the common area here. I mean, in this, sitting on sofas, or on dining table most of the time. And 5 people simultaneously on Zoom call all the time. It's damn challenging. If I have a demo, I have to ask everybody, please stop your videos. So of course, these kind of infrastructural problems are there. And other than that, I think the routine, I mean, it took us 1 month to fix the routine, and all the time sitting, being at home, not even going down too much. So it was a all over change, and a lot of I mean, it has changed the way we live altogether. But now we are used to of that, and the main thing is we ourselves, we have prepared ourselves, where we have kind of set a rule that 2 hours you should be off screen. So that is where I have actually joined a class, where morning and evening, 1 hour, I'm doing some exercise, yoga, and all that. So yeah, able to cope up, but of course, it's not something which we are looking at long term. How do you think about capital efficiency and growth? How much does money matter for growth? Okay. So money is required, definitely. Money is required for everything, but it's not only money that matters for growth. So for me, if you ask me, building any business, it needs thinking. So even though you have money, you have product, but if you don't have thinking, business thinking, or or sales thinking, maybe you cannot have a growth or scale in your business. So thinking is very, very important, the vision, the thought leadership. Because alone I cannot do anything, being in a company alone, I cannot build a business. So building a business is all about, teamwork, building a good team, having faith in your team members, and doing the journey together. So there are a lot of things which are required, which money cannot buy. It is your thought leadership which is very, very important. So yeah, so that is the answer for that. So money matters, but not to a very, very large extent. Where is your team based, and what did they do once COVID hit? Okay, so our most of the team was located in Bangalore, but of course all, I would say 95% of the team was actually from outside, and most of them are from Rajasthan. So to our luck, because of Upekha, again, thanks a lot to Upekha, they started, all this, the COVID impact and everything, all the workshops, they started much, much earlier than, the lockdown. So we were already sensitized about COVID, and what we did before hitting this lockdown and all that, and the intensity what we have now, we actually decided to work from home, and we sent back all our employees to their native, and we tried to arrange whatever infrastructure is required for them to work. So locally they can buy and then claim and all that. They have to become in comfortable situation, and we were very clear that it is not something we are talking about 1 month, 2 month, 3 month. It can go even 6 months, 8 months. So that way, yeah, we are in a good shape as such. Productivity is very good, and people are able to work from home, and sometimes we even do the casual meetings or parties and all that. So we are able to manage, and moreover we have completely moved to online, and we have good guidelines in place, good tools in place. So we are not impacted at all in terms of teamwork. Using Instagram, sorry, it's going up. Instagram to target garage owners doesn't strike as obvious choice. How did you discover this channel? What other channels work? Which channel don't? Okay, so to be honest, for us, Google was initial channel which worked in India, and we were used to get a lot of sign-ups and all that, and we never thought about Facebook or Instagram. But after we visited, Middle East, physically, when we met our customers, they proposed us, you give us your videos, we will put in our Instagram, because many of garages, they follow us. So our own customers, they told, okay, we will put your introduction video in our Instagram, where a lot of other garages follow. They will see, they will inquire, all that. Then it was like, eye opener for us. Okay, this is the channel these people look at to get their own customers. So it was purely physically meeting them, talking to them, and then understanding, okay, this is the channel they use more. And that is where we started, and we never used that channel in India market, and we were getting enough signups from Google. But Middle East market, we were not getting enough signups from Google channel. So it was more of a discussion with the customers, talking to them on day-to-day basis, and they only suggesting us that use this channel. Okay. Okay, how would you describe Upekha to an early stage B2B founder? Uh, I would say Upekha is must for a B2B founder. Uh, I mean, there is a lot. There is a lot. What we learned not only in Upekha sprints, but it's a community altogether. It's a bonding. It's more of emotional attachment. What I would say with the founders, with the founders of Upekha and the other the tribe, Upekha tribe. So for me, if you ask, without Upekha, I wouldn't have imagined, to the level we are now. We would have gone to this level even in 2 years. And the concepts of value SaaS, value selling, pricing, the customer segment, what is your target customer, don't sell to everyone. So a lot of things have gone into practice, and then this peer, the whole community, it's like a what to say, it's always in back, they are there. So even if something goes wrong, somebody is there to give you direction at least, or trigger that thought process in you, what needs to be done. And always, I mean, we go through a lot of ups and downs every day, but Upekha on the back, on the head, it gives a lot of strength also. So I would really, really recommend each B2B startup to at least apply for Upekha. And if you really want to grow, in more value way, then Upekha is the best platform. What I can suggest. Uh, how do you balance GaragePlug CEO role and parenting? Okay, it's okay for me. Definitely, one advantage is I don't have very small kids. My kids are already teenagers and they don't want to talk too much to me. So that way it is easy to manage. But still, it's like, when you are building the business, when you are one of the co-founder, you hold a lot of responsibility. And I am kind of a person, when I start the work, I forget everything. So that way, yeah, I have to consciously take breaks. And that's where even Ashish, who's my husband and co-founder, both, he's helping me to bring some breaks in between, talk to my kids. And kids are also smart enough actually nowadays. They themselves will come and they will see, okay, stop now. So yeah, somehow I am able to manage. And of course, if I had small kids, I don't know how I would have managed. But throughout my whole career, I have not taken even single day of without job. Even after maternity leave, third, I mean, fourth month itself, I am kind of on the job. So I'm not a kind of person who can sit just like that without work. So yeah, I am somehow able to manage. uh, I think I have, yeah, so I don't see any more questions. And I'm not sure if the time is also up. So somebody can tell me if I should end the video, or uh, yeah. So yeah, nice session. And I hope whatever we talked about, I think I only talked, uh, it would help people. And again, to as a, okay, I can see something else. What do you have to tell B2B SaaS founder aspirants? Okay. So B2B SaaS founders, uh, one thing is, building business is not something, it happens overnight. If you are reading some stories, they are false stories. Uh, so building a business takes time. It needs a lot of internal strength. And once you have collected all that strength, go for this kind of entrepreneurship. And of course, uh, I mean, once you think you can do it, of course you can do it. And don't ever hesitate to get into these kind of accelerator program. Because when we were in 2019, yeah, when we before that, we were also like, should we become part of this kind of accelerator or not, or we ourselves can do it. But to me, I think for B2B startups, I would say being part of these kind of accelerators, specifically Upekha kind of accelerator, will really, really help you. And of course, if you are thinking of building a business, don't think if you have built a product it can become business. Business is all about, solving a problem for which somebody can pay you. So if you are able to validate this, yeah, you are solving a problem for which somebody is able to pay you some money, then go ahead and go through the complete step by step process. So that's all I want to tell to young startups or B2B startups. uh, yeah, that's it. So I think I have covered yeah, most of the questions. So thanks a lot everyone, and yeah, have a nice day, nice evening. Thank you. Bye bye.